Okay, so John, why don't we start with you just giving us a snapshot? Obviously, your goal this year is to turn a profit. In fact, you've said absolutely you will turn a quarterly profit. How do you plan to do that when rides are down?
Yeah, so we took the last year and really invested in making the business much more strong on the other side of the pandemic. So we cut out $360 million in annualized costs with a goal of cutting out 300 million. So we beat that by 20%. The team did a phenomenal job, which sets us up incredibly well for the piece that we have less control over, which is the recovery. We expect the recovery to really pick up steam in Q2 so that we have a phenomenal second half of the year.
So let's talk about the recovery. You also said you don't really have any idea or can't give any forecast on ridership for the coming quarter. What do you see then beyond that as we come out of the pandemic, vaccines roll out, but behavior in some ways may have been changed and shifted permanently?
Yeah, absolutely. There will be behavior changes, but people will still need to get around, and transportation will still be an essential part of life and commerce, and cities will still be strong. We don't subscribe to this plan that cities are dead. In fact, I think there's going to be this renaissance moment of everyone wanting to come back together, go out to restaurants, go enjoy entertainment on the other side of this. And Lyft is really well situated with all the different modes that we have to take advantage of that opportunity to serve our drivers and riders. And even if some people move out of the biggest cities, they're moving to the secondary cities where our business is quite strong. And so overall, our vision hasn't changed. And on the other side of this, we think transportation will be in strong demand.
So what date are you targeting to return to growth in ridership? How far out is that?
It's starting now. Every vaccine that is distributed, that second dose, is an opportunity for someone to feel more confident and be more safe getting out in the real world. That happens for us both on the driver and rider side. We've done a lot of work to make sure that drivers are prioritized for getting vaccines because they're on the front lines. We've been successful in multiple states, moving them to the front of the lines. So every day, we're looking at, for both humanity reasons as well as business reasons, looking at the number of people that have been vaccinated with both the first and second dose.
You're doubling down on B2B rides, deals with Grubhub, deals with Blue Cross Blue Shield. How much volume contribution do you expect from this year, let's say 2021, and how big an opportunity is it ultimately?
Yeah, business rides on the rideshare side, outside of this past year with COVID, are very strong. And so coming out of COVID, this will be still a focus. One area that has been strong within COVID that we've continued to invest in is healthcare. We've been the leaders in healthcare. We have a lot of exclusive relationships with healthcare brokers. Something not obvious to everyone who's not in the transportation space is millions of patients are transported every year using non-emergency medical transportation. Oftentimes those rides are funded by their healthcare provider or Medicare or Medicaid. And Lyft has built the right type of infrastructure and relationships to be the leader in that space. And obviously during COVID, that's been important for frontline workers and for people needing still to get medical care. In terms of delivery, you mentioned Grubhub. Grubhub has been a fantastic partner on our subscription service. So if you subscribe to Pink, you get discounts on Lyft rides as well as free access to Grubhub Plus. And then our approach to delivery is quite different than other platforms in that we're just focused on B2B. We're not doing a consumer marketplace. And what we see coming out of this pandemic is that more and more retailers want to connect directly with their customers and not be as dependent on a marketplace where they pay 20 or 30% margin. And so we can be that logistics arm for them.
So can you give us a picture of how much this will be contributing to volume for this year in particular?
I don't think it'll be the focus of this year. I think we're really planting the seeds for what will come the following year. Because business travel, again, will probably take till the second half to really recover in a meaningful way. And then the delivery piece for us is brand new. And so not something that we intend to have a material piece, at least in the first half of the year.
So beyond food, beyond medical and healthcare, what other opportunities do you see?
Well, I just focus on the long term. We see a marketplace shift that is probably the largest business opportunity anyone will see in our lifetime. $1 trillion is spent every year in the United States alone on car ownership, and Americans use their car 4% of the time. This will move to a service. This will move away from something people own in the same way that CDs and DVDs went to streaming. Now, it's a lot more complicated than CDs and DVDs. There's a lot more real world infrastructure that needs to change and being invested in. And so it will take a bit longer, but it will also be a bigger shift. And so we're putting the pieces in place, whether it's our fleet business, our bike business, or continued growth in our rideshare business, so that when vehicles go autonomous, we have all the elements needed to provide people with 100% of their transportation needs in the best experience at the right cost.
Now you've got 2023 self-driving goals with Motional. I know you'll be starting in cities with the best weather, the easiest geography. How much money per ride will Lyft be saving as a result?
Not ready to share that, partially because it's not perfectly known today. The cost of all the sensors, the cost of the vehicles, and the marketplace for those rides. So we will see. We've been the leader in AV open platform, which basically means we've done over 100,000 paid autonomous rides in Las Vegas with Motional. And so we've hit that scale before others, and we've built a lot of the infrastructure that will be required to operate autonomous vehicles at the lowest cost and the highest revenue.
So what's your view on when driverless cars replace human drivers? And are you looking to partner with anyone in particular?
Partnerships is definitely important to us in the AV space. Again, we think that the network, obviously we have a bias, but the network to us is the most important element. It's kind of like with phone networks, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, when there's going from 4G coverage to 5G coverage, where autonomous is that kind of 5G coverage. You still need human drivers to be able to serve the 90% of trips that on day one the autonomous vehicle won't be able to do. Also less understood is that, what do you do at peak times when 1 million rides are needed, when at low peak times only 100,000 rides are needed? Do you buy 100,000 vehicles, AVs, or do you buy 1 million autonomous vehicles? With Lyft, we'll be able to optimize for the best result for both our riders and drivers. And we think that's the hybrid network. I don't think we will need less drivers anytime soon. In fact, we need more drivers over the next decade is my opinion.
Now, I'm also going to be interviewing Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, and they've become a very different company over the course of the last year, doubling down on food delivery, and you've taken a different path. Lyft's strength has always been the brand, and I wonder how that is holding up relative to Uber. Like, how has the competition changed for you, and is Lyft still differentiated in that way?
Yeah, I mean, it's more differentiated. I love the fact that the two companies, or that company in particular, is going in the direction they're going in. We're focused. We've always been focused. Logan, my co-founder, and I have been doing this for over a decade together. And we intend to provide the best customer experience within personal transportation. And doing two things well is a lot harder than doing one thing well. And we're seeing signs of that. In a pandemic where more people are doing delivery than potentially rides, or in terms of the growth rate for delivery compared to rides, we've maintained or grown share. So this idea that by having both, you will do better. And frankly, our competitor has not been winning on food. Others in the space have been. So this idea that there are these clear, obvious synergies are not playing out. And we're going deeper on personal transportation. We own Motivate. We bought Motivate, the company behind City Bike and Bay Wheels, which has 80% of bike share trips in North America. We have a fleet management business that our competitor doesn't have and will be essential for winning in autonomous. So I feel great about our strategy. I feel great about our brand. And I think our brand stands for not only the kind of morals and ethics that we have here at Lyft, but also a focus on consumer transportation. And that's more clear than what our competition is doing.
That said, investors seem to believe in what they're doing. I mean, their market cap is now, $116 billion. Yours is a fraction of that. And so what makes you so confident you can create significantly more value when we don't even know what the next quarter holds?
Yeah, I mean, look, as I said, we've been at this for a decade. We've been the underdog. We woke up 6 years ago and Uber had raised $3 billion and we had 5 months left to live and we had single-digit market share. And we've come a long way since then. And this opportunity to impact how cities move, this opportunity to impact drivers' earnings is an important one, and one that is going to take probably multiple decades. In the next 3 to 4 years, we'll continue to differentiate how we better serve our drivers and riders, and that will equate to more value for our shareholders.